afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Life as I See It with your hostess, Dina Nierenberg. And today I am here with my videographer, Tessa. And this place is absolutely beautiful. This is Owl's Head Park. It's in Bay Ridge. It's very close to the city, right across from the Verrazano Bridge. It's just heavenly here. It's gorgeous. I'm actually looking at a hill where I would love to just take off my shoes and just roll down the hill, you know, like I used to do when I was a kid. But I'm here today taping, and I'll save that up for another day when I'm dressed a little bit differently. But wow, okay, so I was watching the show that I had done with Maria last week, and I gotta say, kudos to you, Maria. Kudos to you, because our last show was an absolute masterpiece. We were talking all about childhood trauma and how a person is affected so much into their adult years by the trauma that they have had, that they have dealt with during their childhood. How basically our childhood builds our personality. And between the ages of, Maria was saying last week, from even still in utero till about 20 years old, a child's personality is forming. And of course, the younger that a person is, the more their personality is forming. Between the ages of newborn to about 8 years old, that's the basis of a person's personality. As far as the nurture part goes, nature, you're given your own unique nature, whether you are easygoing by nature or perhaps more anxious by nature, or perhaps a little bit difficult by nature. But your nurture, most of your nurture, what you learn about yourself and about the world, occurs between newborn to about 8 years old. So you'll have a 40-year-old, and how are they basically seeing their world? They're seeing their world through the eyes of somebody who's under the age of 8 years old. No wonder why this world is so unfortunately messed up. And I hate to sound so negative. I mean, the world is physically absolutely beautiful. It's in the heat of the summer, and I don't mind taping outside in Owl's Head Park. It's gorgeous here. Greenery galore. And yes, this is being taped in Brooklyn, and it's like hard to believe, you know. But here I am, literally 20 minutes from my house. But at the same time, there's so much negativity around these days. And it's because people are basically dealing with their most immature selves. First, when I read that, I was absolutely floored. I'm like, how can a 30, 40, 6-year-old still be dealing with a psyche of their 6-year-old self? But this is what we do. So much about how we deal with the world around us, we have learned in our early years. We tend to see the world based off of our experiences between the ages of 0 to about 8 years old. Now, let's say we've had the most positive of experiences, and let's say we've been dealt with unconditional love, unconditional acceptance. We have been treated with so much kindness, care, and understanding. This is how we are going to see the world when we are older. However, if we have been taught to see the world in a very, very unkind type of a way, if we have been taught the whole idea of, well, love has to be earned, love has to be deserved, we're not going to show you any love until you do what we want for you to do. Or we will show you love until you mess up. And then we're going to show you this different side of ourselves that has nothing to do with love and everything to do with the opposite side of love. And it's not that, you know, we as your parents, we as your grandparents, as your teachers, we're going to show you hate. We don't hate you, nor could we ever hate you. But we are going to show you how important it is to us that you behave yourself by instilling in you a kind of a fear. We're going to instill within you fear. So you're going to act out. So you're going to roll down the hill when we specifically told you don't roll down the hill. I'm not screaming at you in hate, but I'm saying, hey, don't run down the hill. Don't fall down the hill. You're going to get dirty. You're going to get messy. You're going to bump into somebody. You're going to bump into something. You're gonna bump into dog poo, whatever it is. Don't. And if you do, I'm going to punish you the minute we get home. Now, this is not the parent hating on the child. What is this? This is the parent instilling fear in the child. If you roll down the hill, don't even ask what's going to happen to you next. You know, you think that my screaming is the punishment. Nah, that's just the tip of my punishment. When I get home, you're really going to get it. No dessert for you. Gonna go to sleep early. Maybe I'll, didn't want to do that in front of other people, but maybe I'll do that when I get home. It said I'm trying to put the fear into you so that this way you will always behave exactly how I feel a person is supposed to behave. A person is not supposed to get out of line. Now we're talking about parents who give conditions of worth. A person's not supposed to get out of line. A person's not supposed to do anything that can get them dirty, into trouble with anybody else, or that will make anybody feel bad. This is basically what the parent who gives conditions of worth is trying to instill within the child. And fear is the best way that they know how to do it. So now you have a world of adults. And yeah, there are some who have been given unconditional positive regard. Many who have been given conditions of worth. And some who have had some conditions of worth, some unconditional love. And basically, so there you have another population of people who believe, okay, when I'm going to do the right thing, I'm going to receive love and I can love myself. But when I'm not doing what I now believe to be the right thing, then I'm going to hurt on myself. And it's not that I'm going to hate on myself as much as I'm going to try to instill more fear into myself, such as, you just said the wrong you just said the wrong thing to the wrong person. You're going to rot in hell. You just said the wrong thing to the wrong person. Can you imagine what she feels like now? Can you imagine what you said? You're so bad. How could you say stuff like that? What can I do to ensure that you never, ever talk this way to another human being again? We're going to obsess continuously about what we said, about what we did, sufficiently to the point where I will never, ever say the wrong thing to another person, to another human, ever again. I really firmly believe that that is the very basis of obsessive compulsive thinking. Obsessive compulsive thinking is very, very much a self-punishment. If you feel like you may have said or done the wrong thing, and so you start to obsess about it, you are only punishing yourself. Are you not punishing yourself by saying, I hate myself. I hate myself. Most people aren't that far gone. The average person who feels like they messed up will keep on reminding themselves about their mess up again and again and again until they feel, okay, sufficient for now. Until the next thing comes along. And then they're fearful about that. They bumped into somebody, so now they become fearful about that. I was always taught when you bump into somebody, it's the worst thing in the world. You are trampling on another person's property, so to speak. And so there's cause and there's reason to be fearful of that. You never know how the other person is going to treat you. And sometimes, not only that, but when you bump into another person, a person who happens to be fearful themselves, they will be afraid of you. They'll jump a mile. You'll bump into somebody, you'll jump a mile. They'll jump a mile. And next thing you know, you have a world of fear. You have a world of more and more fear. You have parents who are role modeling to their young children. We live in a world where some people have, some people don't have, and some people have a whole lot more. And somehow we're role modeling to you that the people who have more are better than we are, and we have to strive somehow to have more than what we have. And that you're somehow inferior to those who have more until you have what they have. And this teaches children more and more fear. Oh, I'm a nothing, I'm a nobody, I'm inferior until I have what she has. She has all the power because she has the bigger, better house, because she has a bigger, better car, because she makes more money, and therefore I have to live in fear until I have what she has, unless I can even surpass what she has. It's a world of fear. We're living in a world where we have horrible people like Vladimir Putin, and he's always threatening against the Ukraine, and he's always acting against the Ukraine, and he's even acting now against his own people, and just trying to instill the fear into everybody, trying to take over the world, trying to ally up with China to try to to overtake everybody and everything. You know, and we had China a few years ago, and yeah, we have definitely concluded that they are indeed responsible for the coronavirus. They too try to stamp the fear into other people. They too try to show the world, you live in a world of fear. You live in a world where we can create an airborne virus in a lab specifically to try to hurt other people, specifically to try to destroy the world around us. For a long, long time, for 2 years actually, America was trying to kind of put that under the rug. Except for Trump. Trump tried to bring it to light. Trump tried to say, and so many people would not listen, that China is in fact responsible for the coronavirus. They did this deliberately to try to hurt the world and try to bring the world down and try to make people feel vulnerable. So now that you have this world where people feel vulnerable, and in the beginning of the coronavirus, we're all instructed, gotta wear a mask, gotta wear a mask, gotta wear a mask. Just shut up and don't talk about anything that you're thinking. Just keep it all down here, wear that mask, try to stay indoors. Businesses shut down, restaurants shut down, everything kind of shut down. People being afraid to see other people even more than they already were. And believe me, we were already living in a world where people were afraid to do the wrong thing, afraid to say the wrong thing, afraid to touch the wrong person. Oh, God forbid, God forbid. But come along the coronavirus and people got even more scared. And it's interesting because when a person has a mask over their mouth and nose, they're a lot less likely to talk if they don't absolutely have to talk. They suddenly, if they were a chatterbox, they become very, very silent, very, very hush-hush about everything. They literally only speak when they absolutely have to speak. So you have nations on nations of nations of people who now look like they're walking around in a hospital in this mask that covers their noses and their mouths. And they're just afraid to talk more than they have to. And what's more is when you're wearing a mask, you're a lot less likely to talk. So suddenly you have people keeping their views, their opinions to themselves. Except for on the media. Except for on the media, where people stop talking face to face. Where even people were afraid to talk on their phones, extra germs, extra germs. What did people start? And also they were afraid of their phones being tapped. And for a while even, if a person went into a restaurant that was open, and let's say there was only outdoor eating, you have to show your vaccination, proof of vaccination, they had you actually filling in your name and telephone number, just in case somebody in this restaurant actually test positive for COVID. That's a very, very, very scary life. People became afraid of their phones. However, that just empowered people to go on their social media more and more and more. Their social media accounts, staying away from the phone. Let's get to the iPad, and let's just, tell everybody how we're feeling, and also show everybody the fear that we're feeling in this day and age, in the COVID day and age, and now even the post-COVID day and age. Let's show the world, wow, this world is a very, very scary place. It's a very, very unfortunate place. It's a place full of virus. It's a place where you're better off staying away from people as much as you can. It's also the kind of place where you need to be afraid of other people, because look out there. There are people and they have so much more than you have. That's what social media does. It shows us that, okay, you think that you're doing well, you think that you're doing amazing in life, you think that you have the ultimate job, you think that you have the ultimate look, you think that you have the ultimate clothes. Guess what? My friend has even greater clothes than I have. My friend has a better job than I have. My friend makes more money and takes cooler vacations than I do. So now I'm full of fear, and I'm like, perhaps I learned in my childhood that there are people out there and they have a lot more than you do, and somehow they're to be feared and envied. And now I see that there are people out there, now that I'm so connected to other people, I can actually see that, in fact, people do have more than I do. That's going to bring me into an utter state of panic. What am I going to do if there are people out there and they have so much more than I have? So suddenly now I'm scared because of that. So you combine childhood and the fears that are put into us and the conditions of worth that basically go, we have a very hard time showing you love, of loving you if you're going to do certain things. When you do certain things, we're going to put fear into you. And now we have the social media where you have a lot of hurt people hurting other people, either specifically because I want to show you that I'm greater than you and I have more than you, or that I find myself to be more of a follower now. Because I'm so afraid of the whole entire world, what do I need to do? I need to make friends with everybody. Okay, you know what? If you can't be a leader, be a follower. Just follow the cool people. And by proxy, you might actually be cool because, hey, I follow her and I follow him and I follow all of these really, really great people, and no, I'll never have that luxury cruise, and no, I'll never be able to shop at Saks, and no, I'll never have that job. However, I follow her and she's my friend, and I get to tell people that she's my friend, and people are suddenly all like, oh, she's so cool because she gets to hang out with her, because she knows her, because she follows her, because maybe she's even gotten a chance to meet up with her. We live in this world where there is so much fright and so much scare, and we live in a world where you have world powers attacking other world powers. We live in a world where there's so much war and warfare happening, including the coronavirus, which of course was a type of warfare against the free world. And you have people who, they go on that social media and they search around, they try to find people who they can look up to. They try to find people who they can fear. They try to find people who they can fear. This way, they can know beyond a shadow of a doubt what is going on in this world. And it's not so much that I enjoy following her. However, she gives the news. She gives the news exactly how she sees the news. So I cannot be an ostrich putting my head in the sand. Instead, what do I have to do? I have to follow this person, even though I so dislike her. I would never in my life want to meet her in person, because she gives off such nasty, horrible, negative vibes that, but you know what? But I firmly believe that this Miss Negative is speaking the truth. And because she's speaking the truth, it's my due diligence for me to follow her and to see and to hear what she's saying. It's the same kind of thing as people who absolutely have got to open up a newspaper first thing in the morning, right? In my day, there was no social media. Not to make myself sound like an ancient, but yes, in the 1980s, 1990s, there was no such thing as social media. You wanted to know what was going on, you had to open up a newspaper. You had to turn on the television to the news. You had to turn on the radio and listen to the radio, and that's what we had those days. We didn't have social media, just click on that and see all the terrible, horrible news that's going on now in these days. So fear is everywhere that you look. Fear is as close as the touch of your phone. You go on, see, okay, what's happening in the world today? Even if you're not going on social media, but you have your news feed. And of course, your phone knows exactly what news to give you, knows what type of negative news you want to hear. And they don't show you positive, amazing news of people saving cats from trees. They'll send you the worst of the worst of the worst of the local news, but also of the world news, just so that you can have something more to be frightened about. How many of us, we turn on our phone and we're scrolling down, getting more panicky by the minute. Oh my gosh, another bout of the virus. oh my God, another bout of the virus. Oh my gosh, another bout of the virus. And now they want us to vaccinate. And now they want us to have proof of vaccination. And now we can't come to work if we're not vaccinated. And now, believe me, I am vaccinated. I had to get vaccinated for work. But there was a time, well, you can't go here if you're not this. You can't go there if you're not that. It's like, we were like living like in the Middle Ages. And I saw in a friend's WhatsApp today, they're going to look back at this past time, and they're not going to call it, Corona times. They're going to call it the dumb ages. They're going to call it the dumb ages. Why are they going to call it the dumb ages? Because you could have this pharmacist right behind the counter, and you have the customer. What's separating the customer from the pharmacist? This plastic thing, which is meant to shield the pharmacist, which is meant to protect you, the customer. However, you're giving all of your items to the pharmacist so that this way they can touch it, ring it up, and then bag it and give it back to you. Hello, there's germs that way. Don't be putting up boundaries, barriers between people. But unfortunately, coronavirus enabled people to play out their wildest fears. We were already fearful before Corona. People were already so scared of each other. We were raised on fear. People were raised on fear. Many religious people were raised on fear. If you are going to do A, B, and C, you are going to burn in hell. No matter what. No matter how good a person you are, if you don't do certain traditions that me and Daddy have taught you, you're going to absolutely burn. So we have this generations of people with so much fear, and they start to believe, I need fear in my life in order to be okay. What is fear? How is fear helpful to me? I need it in order to be able to feel better about myself, to stay in my box, to feel secure about my life, And so along comes Corona, and next thing you know, there are masks and everything's shutting down. And next thing you know, they're putting up boundaries and saying, okay, and there's Zoom also now, which has proven to have a percentage of positivity to it, but to such a large extent, so much negativity has come out of the whole idea of Zoom. I know for one thing that some of my classes you're given a choice, hybrid. You can either be in class or stay home and be on Zoom. How many of my students have elected to stay on Zoom from their beds instead of coming to class? And now I'm not asking people, why don't you dress up, put on a little bit of makeup and come to class? I would never ask that of anybody. I'm not like that. But so much of the time I want to say to these students that they're just laying around, lounging around, latte in hands in bed. Can't you get out of there? Can't you get out of the house? Why can't you come to class? Oh, professor, it's because I live 2 miles from here. Oh, professor, it's because I've grown so lazy. Oh, professor, it's because this is just easier for me. And they'll admit to me that it's just easier for them to stay on the Zoom. And I'll be like, look, it's free world, free country. You have been given the hybrid option. So be it. So stay home. So Zoom it. You are missing, and I would never tell them this, but you're missing this opportunity, this golden opportunity to hang out with other people, to be able to really, really converse with your classmates. And you'll say to me, yeah, well, we can converse on the Zoom. That's nice. Hello. It's not the same. Not to mention all of the technical difficulties that come along with Zooming. Oh, it's a slow internet day, so nobody can really get on. Nobody can stay on. Students throw themselves off by mistake. Students throw themselves off on purpose, Not that I mind if my students take a break, but it's just you feel like you're just a little here and a little bit there. And it's actually even made worse when a student or two comes to class and everybody else is on hybrid and you don't even know, everybody else is on the Zoom and you don't even know where to put yourself. Do I go Zooming? Do I start looking at my computer? Do I look at you? Do I look at my class? Who's actually in class? There, here, there. I actually feel like I'm supposed to have another set of eyes. This way I can look here and I can look there all at the same time. So I'm telling you, I'm getting whiplash, head back and forth. So in recent semesters, I just kind of keep my head in between you, the student who's in my class, and you, the students who are on computer. And this is it. Make what you like out of it, One thing I hope is that you will all feel the love, whether you're in my classroom or whether you're on the computer. I never, ever, ever want any of my students to feel threatened by me in any way or to be fearful of me in any way. And it's not that I'm this total pushover, but if a couple of students are talking quietly among themselves in the back of the class, even if you're on your phone in the back of the classroom, so be it. My scared ego wants me to say, hey, you're on the phone in the middle of my class? Hey, you're trying to nap in my class? Don't. You're trying to talk to your neighbor in the middle of my class? What am I, boring? Don't. My ego is telling me, why don't you tell them where to go? Why don't you tell them what to do? Because don't you want to be revered? Don't you want to be feared? And don't you fear that people are going to stop thinking that you're cool? So no, I've let go of that part of myself that has had a need to feel fear. Has had fear instilled into me by the environment. I say, no, heck no. No. I live out of love. I live with only love, complete and total full acceptance of myself and of other people. Now, the polar opposite of love, again, it's not hate. The polar opposite of love is fear. We become extremely, extremely fearful of ourselves and how we're going to start to punish ourselves. We become extremely, extremely fearful also of other people. We become so fearful of everything and everyone around us, including ourselves. And I'm also here to tell you that we are our own worst enemies. We fear ourselves at the end of the day more than we actually fear anyone or anything. Because at the end of the day, we are the ones who take ourselves back into our homes. We're the ones who are trying so hard to relax. We can't relax. Our minds will not leave us alone for a minute. Our egoic minds, our analytical minds will not leave us alone for a minute. Now, at this point in time, you're not stuck anymore with the danger of the people that you had some argument with during the day. And you're not stuck with anything fearful that happened to pop up along the day. They were not allowed to come into your apartment, into your house. They shut the door and all that, but you didn't. And that's the thing. You did not shut the door on fear. Because now that you're obsessing about everything that went wrong today and with whom, now you're giving yourself fear. Fear breeds more fear. And this is actually why obsessive compulsive thinking happens. Yes, there is a biological proponent to obsessive compulsive thinking. However, it's made so much worse when we allow the fear cycle to continue around and around and around and around. That we've learned fear from childhood, from everybody, the environment, from around us. We do not let go of that fear until we are able to say, what can I do to combat my fear? Love. Love is the answer. 100% love for myself and for everybody and everything around me. So this person looks scary. They're not scary. They want to be loved just as much as you want to be loved. Why not spread the love first to yourself and then to everybody around you? Ladies and gentlemen, this is Life as I See It with your hostess, Dina Nierenberg. Thank you so much for joining me on my journey today. Thank you so much, Tessa. Love you all.